Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Success Sprint. My name is Christy, and I'm going to be spending the next 30 minutes with you to show you how to showcase your listings and increase engagement. Listings are such an important part of our uh, business, really. I mean, this is the primary thing that you sell and help people buy. You are a real estate expert, right? So it is really important that when you have a listing, you do everything you can to showcase it online. And I can't tell you how many times I've talked to clients and said, do you have any new listings you'd like to market? And they will say, yes, actually, I do. And they haven't even added it to their website or even thought about doing that. So there's a lot more to marketing your listings or the homes for sale than putting it up on the MLS and putting a sign on the front lawn. So we are definitely going to get into ways you can use your Success website to showcase your listings, how to get them in there, and then all of the great tools that we have to help you market those properties. So let's get into it. I'll start off just by saying hello to everyone who has joined us. I see we've got Randy, Paul, Patrick, Michael, JD, Gemma, Francois, and DJ. And we've got more people coming in. So thank you so much for coming in. And feel free to put in your questions, right? We try to keep this interactive. It is live. And you just enter them into the chat. And I do keep an eye on those from time to time. So I'm going to start just by laying out the objectives here because there's more to it than just popping your listing up on your website and saying, here it is. We want to make sure that we're also using listings as a tool to bring people back into our environment, right? Back into our CRM. So we want to make sure that as many of those leads that we have in the CRM as possible are getting automated daily updates that match their criteria. It's not enough just to put them on a broad search and deliver listings that they really are not interested in. We want to make sure that they're getting properties that they absolutely want and that are encouraging them to click and come back to the website to view those properties. So it's important that we really hone down those hot lists and those active searches to fit what it is that they're looking for. Objective number 2 is to sometimes select hand-picked property updates that are tailored to your client's needs or tailored to your leads. So I know that there are some of you out there that maybe have a list of your 10 best buys in a certain area. That can be a really great marketing tool as well by curating a list of homes that you think represent the best buys in your prime target market. And then objective number 3 is to really monitor that lead activity and make sure you're engaging with leads as they come back into the CRM and making it more likely that you're going to get on the phone with them, convert those leads, and close those deals. All right, so we're going to start by getting into creating a custom search for your leads. Now, I am going to just switch over to our dashboard here and show you where exactly you would set up a saved search for a lead. Let's take a look at some of these new leads here. And some of these may already have saved search set up, some may not. What I would also recommend is that if you are just getting started with Success, or maybe you've been with us for a while, but you're kind of trying to get reacquainted with the system, make sure you add yourself in as a lead. It's really, really easy to do. It's just a matter of going into your leads, clicking on let me just move this out of the way, clicking on the new lead button here. I don't know why I can't get that to move. Right here, new lead, and put in your information, and then make sure you check off these boxes. Okay, so you're basically adding yourself as a new lead with express consent. And once you've done that, you'll be able to go into that lead record and activate your saved search. So I'm going to just reset this. I think I'm in here as a test lead already. Let's take a look here. Okay, so this person may or may not have property updates set up. I do see here that we have an email that's going out for property updates. So that means that we do have a save search set up. But I'm going to show you where you can confirm what that save search is, if people are responding to those property update emails, and then we can get into how to customize that search. So the first thing would be up here in the e-plan section. This is where all of our automated e-plans can be turned on or off. And the one here at the bottom is for the property updates. Okay, so we can see that that is on. And now when I click on e-plan actions, I can see that the email has been sent. And it'll also show you if it has been opened or if that email has been clicked. In this case, this lead just came in, so it has not been opened. It has not been clicked. Now, sometimes if you talk to a lead and they say, "Oh, I did not get my my daily activity email," it could have gone to spam. It could have gone into another folder like promotions or social. So just make sure that you have this information available so you know exactly when it was sent, and they can take a look for it. If it does end up in spam, and this also applies to you if you put yourself on the list. If you get that email and it is in spam, you do need to go in and just mark it not as spam. That is an option in most email programs where you can mark that email as not spam, and that way you will get that in your inbox every day. It won't go into the spam folder. But when you get those, they should include a list of properties. And when I click on Save Searches in here, here is what is currently saved. And I believe this is based on a campaign that we're running for Durham homes under 1 million. So by default, when that lead comes in, we're making sure that they are set up with a save search that fits that particular campaign. But what if this person is not looking for homes under 1 million? Maybe they are open to 1.5 million and under, or maybe they want to also include Oshawa or another area in their search. So what we would do here is click on Edit Search and simply edit the criteria. So here I could change the max to 1.5. And every time you make a change, you're going to notice up here the number changes. So it's showing 785. And as I change the criteria, that number changes, right? So keep an eye on that, because if the number gets to 0, then we have a problem. Maybe we've picked a criteria or something in here that is actually eliminating listings, not adding them to the list. Also, keep in mind that it's not necessarily helpful to give somebody access to hundreds of listings. It's very easy for people to do that on their own. I think the real value here is sending somebody a curated list that is smaller but really fits what they're looking for, just like you would with a client that you're working with. If a client only wants to see homes in a certain neighborhood or only wants to see homes that have a minimum of 4 bedrooms, well, then you'd make sure that that criteria is dialed in. So that's an option here as well, to update bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. You can even put days on market, right? If so, people only want to see new listings. Here's where you could add an area. So if I wanted to add Oshawa here, right? That increases the number of listings substantially. So that is really, it's quite simple. You have a lot of options here, but it's very easy to go in and customize the save search that is already set up. Once that's done, you just hit update and it's updated. Now, you could also set up a second save search, or you could handpick listings for that person. And I'll show you how to do that. So down here in the bottom, we go to save search. Okay, so save search, and I'm going to click on create new search. So now this time, maybe I want to call this custom search. And let's say I want to include homes that are in a very specific price range, let's say between 625 and 650. And I want to make sure that they have minimum 3 bedrooms, minimum 3 bathrooms. And then for the area, let's say that we only want homes in a specific neighborhood. So I don't know. I'm not even sure what neighborhood to pick here. Let's say we'll just say Ajax, just because that's sort of the area that we're in. Okay, so you'll see that we only have one listing, right? That matches that criteria, something that is within this price range, 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. So obviously the price probably needs to be higher. Now we're at 800 and we have 27. That seems like a very, I would say, dialed in list. And it can be even more dialed in depending on what features they're looking for. But I think you get the idea. So once you have that saved, now they're actually going to get 2 separate property updates. And it will come in 2 separate emails, I believe, which is fine. You know, if they don't want to receive this generic one, we can get rid of that and then just save and just have this one go out to them. But the idea is we want to be sending them properties that are going to really match what they're looking for. I'm just going to delete this one because this was a demo and we don't know that that person wants that. One more thing that I'll show you here is the recommended properties. That's where we can add a new property based on either address or MLS number. So if you wanted to send somebody a listing specifically for an address or an MLS number, you could totally do that. So that's another option that you can use within the CRM. And I do encourage you to really check this out and try to do it for yourself, right? Put yourself in as a lead, make sure you're getting those property updates. Also take a look at those update emails, right? Because they have your contact information in them, your brokerage, your address, your phone number. If you've changed brokerages, let's make sure that that information is updated on your website. That would all be done here in the settings. So if you have changed brokerages, or if you've changed your address or any of that information, under settings, make sure you go into replacement patterns and update that information here. Okay, another thing is if you do change brokerage, then we essentially need to renew the IDX agreement that we have with your broker. So that's another thing that you'll want to kind of get in touch with us and make sure that we are aware that you have switched. Okay, now when you do have people coming back and looking at properties, you're going to notice that we have these blue sections in our leads. I like this because it to me sends a signal that the person is actively looking and that they are aware of the information that we're sending to them. So you'll often see when you have that, right, these people that are searching, you'll go in and you'll see sometimes a property, right? You'll see the exact house that they've looked at. And I feel like that's valuable information. You know, if you are trying to get a hold of a prospect, what better way to do that than to sort of tap into something that they want and that they would um, maybe value more information on. So I would certainly pay close attention to any leads that you have in here that are coming in from property updates. Now, another way that we can find those is through our segments here on this left-hand side. If I go down to properties viewed, right, I can look up people based on properties viewed. So if I say, I want to see people who've looked at either one to 100 properties, that's probably going to give us, quite a few. So that'll at least only bring up the people who are viewing properties and filter from there. You can also look at people who have looked at a specific price, an average price, median price, but that information is all here as well. Okay. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, please let me know. Otherwise, we are going to move on to some of the other areas that I wanted to talk about when it comes to listings and adding listings. So this all had to do with putting people on those property updates. What we also want to do is get our own listings onto the website so we can market them. Now, in your command center in Success, you'll see there's a tab here. It says My Listings. And when you go to your listings, this is where you should see the portfolio of listings that are available that you've added or we've added for you to your website. Now, why would you want to add these listings? I think the main reason is you want to build some assets around those listings that will allow you to market those listings. So let me explain a little bit what I mean by that. So here's a listing that has been added. Now, by the way, you can add listings by just hitting this Add New button right here, or you can hit the Import IDX listings and just plug in an MLS number, hit search, and that will import that listing for you with all the photos and everything. But you could also just add it by hitting this Add button, and that will bring up a form where you can plug in the address, all the details, photos, everything you need, description, that can all go in there. This can also work out well for a rental property if you wanted to promote rentals or lease properties, or if you have something that is coming soon, it's off market, you won't be able to import it from the MLS because it's not on there, but you could add it here. And that would allow you to now build a landing page around that property and give people direct links to it. So that's another option that you have. But let's just take a look at this one that's already been added. Okay, so this is a listing that is here in the system that has been filled out, completed. The only thing that I'm seeing here is it's not a featured listing, right? So we can mark it as featured because that will sort of give it an extra bump, and hit save. So now that I've got this listing here, what I'd like to do is create a page for that listing that I can easily share. So there's 6 buttons here below the listing address. The 5th button, okay, so the second last button here, it says single property site. So when I click on that, it's going to give me the option to create a single property site for this property. I'm going to hit create. So we're going to create that page. So now if I, let me just go back. I just want to copy that URL. So now if I want to find, share this page, right, share this listing, I can go to my website. Okay, in this case, we're looking at briancondoteam.com, put in that page name, which was the address, and now I've got a landing page that I can share for this listing. And you'll see here, we've got these buttons to the right where people can share on Facebook, Twitter, now X. They can, view photos, book a tour, make an offer. And of course, if somebody wanted to contact you about this listing, they could fill out this form and do that. The mortgage calculator, all the tools are here. So this is something that is included, right, with your platform. And what I also like to do when we have this is if you are in our ad management program, we can create a Facebook ad campaign for you to promote that listing. It usually costs about $5 a day. We run it for 2 weeks, and we like to include some feature points on the property. Obviously, for this one, direct waterfront would be a highlight. Maybe emphasizing some of the other features, like it's a bungalow, where it's located, things like that. The only thing that we don't include in the ad is the address and the price. That's what we want people to sign up to get access to. So that is a great way to promote your listings using Facebook. But you could also just post this listing onto your own Facebook page, share it on whatever other social media outlets that you've got. And then there's so many other things that we can do, right, with these listings once they're in the CRM. Another thing that I like to do is launch an action plan for that listing. So the action plan would essentially be a way for you to communicate with your audience to let them know you have a new listing. So here in our action plan library, you'll see we have a series of action plans specifically for listings. And when you are picking the plan, you're going to want to use this option here where it says use with a listing. It's going to pop up the listings that we have in our inventory, and then it will give you a template. So let's take a look at another example here. So if I go to Action Plan Library and click on listing, home feature sequence, we'll pick the listing. And let's see if I can find what that actually pulls in a photo. Property specific sequence, I think this one does. So I click use with the listing. And here we have a series of text messages, email, right? So it will actually pull in the photos, the URLs, everything for that listing. And it's really super quick to set up. So I'll just hit copy to my action plan, and you'll see that it's got the address now plugged in. So what I could do is I could send this sequence to my database, right? Like you may want to send it out to a specific segment. I mean, this particular client has over 33,000 leads in the system. Maybe he would only want to send it out to people who are actively looking at property, right? Or maybe only to the people that have come in the last 30 or 60 days. There's all sorts of ways that we can segment our database to make sure we're sending information to the most likely to respond prospects. Obviously, I would say one that you definitely want to make sure you're following, and this does happen automatically through the system. But if you go down to communication status here, you'll see that you can target people only who have consent, right? So there may be people who have revoked their consent and therefore aren't going to get the emails or the text messages. So you can also choose that as a way to kind of dwindle down to a much more manageable list to send out that sequence to. But what's nice is that once you send it, you will be able to see the responses, right? So when we send out an action plan, what we want to see ideally is something like this, where we've sent it out to a number of leads, we've had this many replies, here's our engagement rate. So now you've used your listing as a way, as content, marketing content, to not only help sell the property, but also engage with your database and try to wake people up. Um, so those are some of the key things that we can do within the CRM for listings. Another nice feature here is our HDX. The HDX is what we use to promote specific hot lists. And I like this site as an example because Brian has really created a comprehensive library of hot lists for people that are looking for homes in Durham. And a lot of this is based on price range, but some of them are new construction, some are bungalows with double garage, some are homes with a 3-car garage, and they usually are based on some type of campaign that we're running for the client. But it could also be you just want to target a very specific type of buyer or seller, and you know that they're looking for this type of home. So let's create a hot list of homes that match that criteria. And how we do that is we use this type of form where we plug in the area, the price range, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, if that's applicable, and also any special features that we want to include, like a 3-car garage, or that it's a single story, or here in Canada we call them bungalows. But you could do the same for, let's say, condos, townhomes, waterfront properties, new construction. There's so many ways that we can use this. So start thinking about that, because essentially that is one of the most effective ways to generate leads, to generate real estate leads, is by using listings as the primary hook, because that's really what people are looking for when they come to your site. They want to see property, they want to see inventory. A lot of people really enjoy looking at property. And yes, sometimes they do it for entertainment. I'm guilty of that as well. But it also is going to send a signal that they are still active and they're using your site as a way to view property, right? That's what we want. We want them to be on your site looking at properties, not realtor.com, not realtor.ca, not Zillow. Nowhere else do we want them to go. We want them to be on your site. So that is essentially the bulk of the info for today. I don't think I missed anything, but of course, if you would like to go back and review some of the past sessions that we've done, I would encourage you to take a look in the command center in the help section and go to Success Sprint training videos. We have done a lot over the last, I don't know, couple years. A lot of it has to do with communication and marketing and building trust and really how to get the most out of your Success website and the Success platform. So please use this resource. We record them all, we post them here, and we will see you in a couple weeks. So thanks so much, everybody, for joining us today. Have a good one.